Emily and I are here with some incredibly exciting
earth-shattering news.
Oh my gosh, earth-shattering news indeed. They just formally announced, I think everyone's known this was coming, but they formally announced Earth Abundance. This is the expansion for Earth. One of our favorite games, but definitely one of your very favorite games. Anyway, we wanted to talk a little bit about what this expansion is doing. We reached out to them. We've got a few cards to share that you haven't seen yet, so stay tuned for those. And we don't know a lot of the details. They were very tight-lipped. They barely wanted to give me the cards, quite frankly. But I got a few cards. There's some icons that they didn't explain. So Emily and I are going to speculate, along with you, maybe down in the comments. But what they're doing with this expansion is, I don't know all of the different contents. Obviously, it's going to have more cards, some of which we have, but probably some other things too. But they focused on a couple different things.
They said more player interaction.
Well, the other one doesn't really have any, does it?
I mean, it does. It has some, because there are things like, one of my favorite things is those terrain cards where it says, look in everybody's ecosystem and see who has the most of like rocky terrains. And then you get points for however many rocky terrains they have.
Okay, so a little interaction, but more of that friendly interactive.
It's definitely more friendly.
It's not going to punish them. And I don't know for sure that these things are going to be punishing, but some of the things we've seen look like there's a little bit more player interaction where you're going to look at your neighbors and maybe get some stuff. There may be some things you do that give them some stuff. I don't think we've seen any that were like taking away anyone's stuff.
I don't think so, but who knows?
Who knows? There might be. I can tell you, the folks at Inside Up Games, and Connor in particular, he likes mean games. Earth is not a mean game, so hopefully he didn't shoehorn in a bunch of mean stuff in here.
I'm sure if they did, though, they would have also made a way of it so that you don't have to play with those.
I'm sure.
Right, because you can always play the base game, and it can be very friendly.
So don't stop the video now and go, oh, we heard it's really mean. It's not. It's probably not going to be, but it's definitely going to be more interactive. The other thing they leaned into, and I've played Earth. I haven't played Earth like Emily. So when I shared this with her, she was like, oh, that means blah, 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 which she's going to do here in a second. That thing was, they mentioned being able to curate your hand a lot more. And alarms went off in her head as I said this. I was like, well, help me understand what's that mean.
So I've played games of Earth where I've had just tons of cards at the end. And I've had games where that's good because there are certain terrains you can get where they're each worth points. If you don't get that terrain,
you're just
sitting there with so many cards, especially if you're playing with a group of players who've let the game go on forever and ever because you're all like...
Who?
Well, I mean, people who
that.
like Earth and just want to keep playing the game more and more times so they never push the end. Who knows who would do that? So you end up with tons of cards in your hand. And when he said curate your hand, I was like, ooh, because there are ways to get rid of cards, right? You can put stuff in your compost, and those are for points. That's great. But thinking about like if there are going to be other ways to use those cards in your hand that you don't necessarily want to play, because you're only ever playing, like 16 cards, you want to be thinking about like, what can I do with them?
Yeah, that is interesting. And there's some other mechanisms that we've seen sort of hints at. We don't know what these things are, but we're going to take a look at some of the cards. No further ado, we'll go ahead and do that right now. Some of the cards, we've got about 4 or 5 of them here. One of them is called Bamboo Mushrooms. This one in particular has a couple new icons that I don't think either of us remember from the first game. First of all, again, warning, this is mostly speculation from here on out. But this first little icon looks like a seed to me. It's the little football-shaped thing. If it's not a seed, I'd be surprised if it's something else related to plants.
And I wonder if it's going to be like a new track. The card doesn't seem to have a new place on it to put something. And I think the cards already have quite a few things going on in them. So it made me think, what if this is like a standalone board or something, right? That's going to be a track of like maybe whoever's the farthest gets something, or you can use those as a different kind of currency. I don't really feel like we need another currency, but I like the idea of a track. And I like the idea of like when you go up it, you might even get things.
The track is interesting. The first game didn't have anything like that, right?
No.
I mean, it's an easy sort of territory to explore when you're coming up with an expansion. A track's usually fairly harmless. And it can do a lot of things. It's this abstract thing that you can interact with.
And you can make it small enough to fit in that box. So I feel like it's possible.
I wondered if it was maybe not a resource per se, but another little thing that you can collect. and put on a card that does a thing to that card.
Oh,
so
like
for instance,
double points or something?
that's exactly what I was thinking. Because the card we have here, you get 2 of those, and it looks like every other player, or at least some of the other players, get 4 growth.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're giving them the growth,
Yeah,
because there's like
sprouts, but-
little arrows pointing to the players. It makes it feel like you're
It's
giving
coming
it
from
to them.
someone.
Because in the main game, it has those players, but it doesn't have those arrows.
Right, exactly.
So you have to give up 4 growth. If that's what it is,
But
the
I don't
seeds
know,
better
because
be
like
good.
it has the bar in between. It's not a cost.
Oh, you think that's... Oh,
So-
that's true.
We're really digging in here on these ones. There's so much though that it could be that I'm just super freaking
Yeah, so
excited.
we'll keep going. We won't speculate too much. But the next one we got is the blue Palo Verde. And this one is... It has...
Growth. That's growth.
That's growth.
That's growth.
What
The
is
other
the
one's the
cubes?
sprouts.
Sprouts, my bad. So that you've got growth. And then this is the one, to me, that felt like the players to your left and right.
I think that is got to be what it's saying. The players to your left and right.
And I don't know if you must be getting that. It looks like you're allowed to use 2 of their yellow card abilities.
That's a lot. That's a lot to do instead of 1 growth.
I would agree, but unless the players to the left and right don't have any yellow card abilities.
Yeah. Come on, players to the left and right. Get on the yellows.
Or, yeah, I don't know, but that definitely looks like a symbol regarding your neighbors.
Yes, it
right?
definitely means something to do with the people next to me.
And that symbol doesn't exist
That
in
does
the main
not
game either.
exist right now.
Another new
so
symbol.
that's
Next
exciting.
one, Tropical Sierra. This is a terrain card. This one, I mean, some of these don't really venture into brand new territory, but this one's going to give some points based on the number of sets you have for all those different types of card powers
Yes.
in your tableau.
Or just types of cards.
Or types of cards, yeah, because the events sit on your board,
Yep.
not in your area.
I think there's one similar to that as it is right now.
We've got the Quiver Tree Forest. Again, this is just giving you 5 points for every 2 cards with a draw card ability.
I love this though,
Draw.
because again, yeah,
Oh, you
one of
draw
my
card- you're
one
gonna
of
be
my
looking for
favorite
this one?
strategies is the draw card strategy because you get to see all the cards then, and then you can do whatever you want. And so I feel like this is going to be the one where I'm going to be like,
Where's the Quiver
yes.
Tree? Where's
it
the
just
Quiver
it
Tree?
just so happens to come out in every other game that you play with Emily.
So here's another one. This one is new and has some new ideas going on. Again, I'm not sure what those ideas are, but it's an event card called the Super Volcano. It does say play at the end of a turn. Do you remember any cards that had a stipulation like that?
Of when you were playing it. And really, that's the interesting thing. That's what I always say when we teach is events can be played at any time. Anytime. And I tell them
Oh,
that
that's right.
because it doesn't have to be your turn. It could be any time. I'm like, after I give you the card and you look at it and see it's an event, you can play it anytime.
Well, no longer. Not the Super Volcano.
Not the Super
anyway.
Volcano though, because this one now says play at the end of a turn.
And it looks as though other players can, or maybe must. I don't know that it would be a
I'm
must, though, because
wondering-
this seems like a decent thing.
I'm
You have to get rid of
wondering-
-5 sprouts to get 6 soil.
Which is a better rate of return because usually it's 3 to 2. So
But if you
usually
did
it'd be
this at
6
the
to
end and
4.
got rid of sprouts and gave them soil, it would stink.
Yeah, because soil's usually
Sprouts
not
are
worth
points.
anything. Yes. But it's really good for if you're going to plant next turn. I'm wondering if this 3-player thing is anybody who's not leading that turn, right? So if it was David was the one choosing the action, everyone else at the table could do this thing.
Maybe.
And so when I play it, I'm going to play it when David
It
does
might
his
include
turn.
you?
Yeah, and
Is
it
what
would
you're
include
saying?
me.
Oh, I
if
don't
I
know.
want. But
Tell
who
us what you
knows?
think. I tell us what you think. I would disagree. I would think it would always mean other people than you, the person playing it. But that's an interesting thing. I hadn't thought about it. The last card we have, and if you watch the channel at all, you know how much we like the Dusky Leaf Monkey from Arc Nova. Well, sorry, Dusky Leaf Monkey, but you might have found a rival. I'm not going to give this card the win thus far, but we've also got the Hedgehog here, which is at least the second most adorable animal
so
card we've seen.
cute.
He is cute. We might, I'd like to have a side-by-side comparison
Yes.
between this and the Dusky Leaf Monkey.
What I think is interesting about him too, though, is that he has 7 more cards with the Sprout's ability.
Ah.
So it's not just like that you have a Sprout on it, or that has the ability to have a Sprout put on it. It has a cube ability. So now I'm wondering, are there going to be ones where it has like a growth ability, that it has another ability?
Okay.
There's lots of space for this.
We're all excited, but man, Emily's fever pitch excited. By the way, speaking of excitement, you don't have to wait too long. This is their campaign for this is going to drop on April 22nd, which
Earth
is
Day.
Earth Day.
It's
It
great.
Makes perfect sense.
I think I've played Earth the last 2 Earth Days. Definitely.
Of course.
Yes.
How could you not?
How could you not?
I would be offended for Earth if you didn't do that.
It's Earth Day.
Some other details, of course, you go follow their campaign. Be sure to do that. They also told me, don't take. This is not written in stone, but they whispered to me that their plan is to deliver this before the end of this year.
Ooh.
And if you also watch our channel, you'll know that we mix up time periods and the game Earth quite a bit. So now we can focus on, and we'll probably get a prototype, hopefully. Please promise, send us one. But before the end of this year, we might get final copies of Abundance.
You're going to hear so much more about Earth.
You are going to hear a lot about Earth, particularly when she gets her hands on it. But anyway, that's all we have to share today about this expansion for Earth. If you have any questions or if you know anything that we don't know.
What are your theories? Tell us what you think.
Help us speculate, because we're not sure about some of these icons, but whenever we see new icons for a game that we like, we're like, oh, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What do you hope's in it? What do you want to see?
It will be interesting to see. Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, of course, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.